Good morning, Sports and Coffee. We're going to play Flashpoint basketball. I have made the 1983-84 teams, not all of them, just a handful of teams I really wanted to play to see how easy it would be to create real-life teams for Flashpoint. So I've made the 83-84 Boston Celtics, who won the championship. Of course, the LA Lakers, the Phoenix Suns, who played LA to get to the championship. And, of course, my Philadelphia 76ers, who in 83 had won the championship. 84, they were knocked off by the Milwaukee Bucks. And I thought I would go ahead and play an elimination game. We're going to assume here that this is the final game. If Milwaukee wins, they will go on to play Boston. If Philly wins, we'll go on to play Boston. And I've set this in 4 quarters, so the game is set to 20 segments for scoring. I just put it in quarters. So I divided the 20 segments into fives. So we got first quarter, second quarter, halftime, third quarter, fourth quarter. Talk to Dell. We shared a few emails after Dell watched my playthrough. I'd done some things incorrectly. Of course, I always do things incorrectly. Even with my own games, I tend to make mistakes. No sweat. I'm going to try to do this a little better. I won't go over what I did wrong. It's kind of pointless because I can't recall exactly, but I'll try to do everything from here on out as Dell and I discussed. So, again, I'd only seen this for the first time. Well, I mean, again, I saw his PDF months ago when I glanced at it and said, oh, this looks interesting, and never got back to it. The other day when I got this in the mail, it was the first time I'd seen the book, and the other morning when I played this was the very first time I'd ever actually played it. So, of course, there's going to be some little heuristic trial and error. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes, etc. So I think I'll be able to play this pretty straight. I've said this before about good game design. Even if you do something wrong, if you can finish the game and it doesn't stop the game or break the game, then it's a good game design. So even if I did some things wrong, I still had a fantastic time, enjoyed the hell out of it. So much so that it inspired me to say, wait a minute, it'd be kind of fun to see how easy it is to use these creation rules to just make the teams. So we have, for the Milwaukee Bucks, we have our 6. And so instead of putting it in position, I do it by 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So those who know the rules will know that 6, when you roll a 6, that's who comes up, and they have a better potential of scoring greater points because they are the 6. So you're really assigning a die to every player. So 6 will probably score more points. Now, I can't say it will always, but this would be your high scorer player. And then, of course, I assigned whether they were stars, superstars, or role players. I still stuck to the rules that a team couldn't have more than a superstar and 2 stars. So no matter who the team is, they won't have an imbalance as far as the rules go. So we got Sidney Moncrief at shooting guard. He is a superstar. He's on the 6. We got Marquise Johnson, a star, at 5. He's small forward. We got Bridgman, a role player, at 4. He's also a small forward. It doesn't matter. This game is abstract. So these guys might be on and off the court, or this guy might be playing power forward or shooting guard when somebody else is on. So the position, ironically, the position doesn't really matter. All that matters is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. We got Bill Lanier, role player, at center. We've got Dunleavy, role player, at point guard. And we have bench, are obviously role players. And that would be shooting guards, power forwards mostly, right? But again, I'm not identifying bench player. The bench is going to be any guy that could have come off the bench. So I got my starters and my bench. And then we got, Moses Malone is a star center, but he's 6 because he led the team in scoring. We got Dr. J, 5, but he's a superstar. So we only have a star and a superstar. They have a superstar and a star. Of course, LA and Boston have a superstars and 2 stars. So they're 2 better teams. Anyway, and then we have role players in Andrew Toney, Maurice Cheeks, Bobby Jones, and bench. The term role player, don't let that fool you. When you hear me say something like role player, you're going to immediately say, Andrew Toney wasn't no damn role player. Well, whatever. Maurice Cheeks was the starting point guard. He wasn't no role player. Well, role player is just the game term, right? We have superstars, stars, and role players, and all that tells us is how quickly they get to heat level 1 and whether they can get to heat level 2, and how fast they get to heat level 2. So superstars can make it all the way to heat level 2, and superstars get to heat level 2 faster. As those who watched my debut game, I only had a couple of players even get to heat level 1 late in the game, which I thought was fantastic. My concern was there would be heat levels all over the damn place, and the game would get a bit crazy. So you will see how this works now. So role players can get to heat level 1, and that's it. They can't go any further. Superstars can get to heat level 2, and they get there faster. Stars can get to heat level 2. They just do it a little slower than superstars. That's all that does. Also, if there's a tiebreaker, stars beat role players, superstars beat stars and role players, it becomes a tiebreak option too. All right, so the one thing I was failing to do was subtract points if a defensive player wins a highlight. And this still, to me, is a bit concerning. So let's go over this in the rules to see if I can, if I can't tell you how it works, then I know I don't know what I'm doing. So we're going to calculate our base points. So let's compare heat levels. Well, again, heat levels, we know how that's going to work. Whoever has the highest heat level wins. Okay? But if an offensive highlight, that would just be offensive highlight. Let's say I roll 6-1. There we go. So Milwaukee's Sidney Moncrief would have the highlight because he wins the die roll. So Sidney Moncrief's winning the highlight. That makes him a attacker. He gets a heat tick. So I would write down here Moncrief, his score with a tick. So I'm going to track his ticks right here on the score sheet. Apply the heat tick first, then you would do the heat tick because if he gets him to level 1, we're going to get to add points. Or he'll win, he'll automatically reverse the thing, right? Heat does not change the die roll, so the margin never changes based on heat. If the defender gains 1 heat tick, decrease the attacker's segment level by 1. This is where there's a problem. I don't know who the defender is here. So he talks about the offensive highlight or the defensive highlight. The problem here would be the superstar, I suppose. Let's say Moncrief is just a role player and the superstar gets a 1. The tiebreaker, there is no tiebreak. So this is what's messing me up. The attacker heat versus defender heat. So we don't have any heat level. So that would if defender has the heat, right? So how do we determine who's offense and defense? I don't know, because he talks about offensive highlight is if the attacker has the heat, defensive highlight if the defender has the heat, right? If they don't have any heat at all, they're both equal, right? If equal heat, it's an offensive highlight. So I was doing this correctly in the first video. What I was failing to do was if the defensive player had heat, he would automatically win the highlight and do the negative points. That's the part that I still am probably going to struggle with a bit, because it's not, to me, easily clear. The offense and defensive highlight is going to be dictated by heat. Well, early on in the game, there is going to be no heat levels. So you have to be aware that really what you're rolling for is the point differential between the two players. Jot it down, move on, and whoever wins this gets the tick, which is what I did in the first game. Where I was making a mistake was a potential defensive highlights, but I didn't have anybody with heat until late, so I only made that mistake maybe once or twice. So it's not complicated. It's just, you got to get your head around it. All right, so here we go. First segment, Milwaukee. Oh, by the way, Philadelphia has Moses Malone, who's a star center. Oh, I did this. Dr. J's my superstar, small forward. Andrew Toney's a role player. Maurice Cheeks is point guard role player. Bobby Jones, power forward role player. And my bench is a role player, obviously. Milwaukee's coached by Don Nelson. They won 50 games, lost 32. They average 106 points a game. The Philadelphia 76ers, coach was Billy Cunningham. They finished 52-30, and they scored 108 points a game. So let's play it and see what happens. All right, so we got, again, this will be Milwaukee. This will always be a visitor. This is home. So Milwaukee's bench comes off, and they're going to score 1 point plus the differential. So Milwaukee's bench is going to score 2 points. And my team, too, Bobby Jones is going to get 4 3-points. So Jones is going to get 2 3-points, and he gets a tick. It's a highlight. So Bobby Jones, as the offender, backs down. Again, he is my power forward. As power forward, he backs down into the paint, receives a pass from Dr. J, turns around off the corner of the box and into the net. Bobby Jones scores 3, and that's his highlight for that segment. So you want to look at these as how would they have scored those points, or the highlight bucket. Oh, look at this. It's going to be their man, Dunleavy, point guard, taking it to the hole, scoring 3. So Dunleavy gets 3, and our bench gets 2, and Dunleavy gets his first tick. So Dunleavy's got 3. As Dunleavy crosses over and drives to the hole, finger roll. Dunleavy puts it in. Moses Malone pulled out of the paint by their big center, Bill Lanier. All right, third segment, 5. All right, so we got 5 for them. 5 for them is, Marquise Johnson. He's going to score 5, 2. So Johnson scores 5, and the difference is 2. He's going to score 7 points. He's going to get a check mark. Our third man, our point guard, Maurice Cheeks, will answer with 5 points of his own, but he does not get a heat tick. Segment 4, man, we got a ball game going here. Milwaukee working. Oh, man, it's going to be Johnson again. Damn, and he's going to get 5 plus 1, 6, and another check for Johnson. Scribble that out. And 4 for us, that's going to be Andrew Toney. Andrew Toney's going to score 5 points. And here it is, final segment of the first period. 4 for them. It's going to be their man, Bridgman, coming in for... makes sense. Johnson's out. And they would have subbed in their second small forward. That's Bridgman. And he's going to score 5 points. He does not get the tick. However, our big boy, Dr. J, finally shows up. Dr. J is going to score 6 points. Dr. J gets a heat check. First period is over. They're going to score 5, 12, 18, 23. So they scored 23 in the first period. We're going to score 5, 10, 15, 21. So it's 23 to 21 after the first period. Marquise Johnson's already got 2 ticks. The game is smooth, works beautifully. You just got to start now making sure. And what I need to make sure I do, and that's one of the mistakes I already made, right? If it's tied, the roll dictates. So let's say these are 4-4, right? 4-4. Well, let's do, this is better. Let's do 5 and 5. This is much better. So 5 means they're tied. Johnson is a star. Dr. J is a superstar. So Dr. J would win this he would get a tick. He doesn't add any more points. It's still 5-5, but he would get the tick because he's the superstar, right? He would actually win the highlight. Makes sense, right? Okay. And of course, stars over role players, right? Okay. And then of course, heat ticks automatically win. So whoever's got heat will beat the other guy. All right, here we go. There we go. Perfect example, 4 and 4. So starting the second quarter, 4 is going to be Bridgman. He's a role player. Our guy's a role player. So Bridge scores 4, and Andrew Toney gets 4. Nobody gets a tick, which I love to see. There should be a way that nobody gets a tick. Okay, 2 and 1. Dang it. It's going to be Dunleavy for them. Oh, man. Dunleavy gets his second tick. So Dunleavy, he's going to score 2 3 points. And our bench in the ball game, somebody from our bench is going to score 2 points. And again, Dunleavy got his tick up here. So we got 2. They have 2 players on the verge of heat. Oh, no. Moncrief. Stud. Moncrief's going to score 5, 6, 5. He's going to get 11 points, and he gets a check. Moncrief finally shows up midway through the second. And we're going to see our bench. So our bench, for some reason, we must have somebody in foul trouble, is going to score 6 total points. Moncrief lights us up. And, but Moses Malone is going to play. He says, oh, no, boys, I got to keep us in this. He's going to score 11 points. Moses will get that. And their bench. So we waited till their bench came in. So you can see that as their backup center would be in the ballgame. Maybe Moses Malone schools their backup center. He scores 6 points. We got one more segment in the first half. Oh, man, it's Johnson, and Johnson's now at heat level 1, folks. Johnson, and he automatically adds that heat right now. So 5 plus the 1 is 6, and the heat level, I believe, gives him another point. Heat builds only from highlights. Heat only affects attacker's score. Yep. So he's going to score. It only affects attacker scores. What this says. So 5. He is the winner. So 5 plus 1 is 6, and he's at heat level 1. He's going to score 7 points. And now Johnson is at heat 1. Right? That's incredible. So Johnson is on fire in the first half. By the way, he got the so he's now at heat 1. All right, Moses Malone, and we got 4. That's going to be Tony. Man, Tony's getting the job done. He's just not getting any heat. Tony's going to score 4 or 5 points. All right, so they're going to score 7, 18, 24, 31. 31 in the second. We're going to score 6, 12, 23, 28 for us in the second. And at halftime, folks, they're going to have, at halftime, they're going to have 54 to our 49. It is a 6-point game at halftime, a 5-point game at halftime. 54-49, Milwaukee, who, by the way, in real life, did upset Philadelphia to go on to the finals against Boston. So we're on pace. Milwaukee here is on pace to beat us, as they did in real life. Outstanding. Here we go. Come on, so we need Dr. J to step up. There he is, the doc. The diggy doc, y'all. Pumping fresh, y'all. There it is, 5 plus 4. That's going to give him 5 plus, that's 9 points, and he gets a tick. By the way, he already had a tick up here. That's his second. And they're going to, their bench is going to score 5 points. Man, what a ball game. Here we go. And their bench, I guess, could have heat levels. Their bench is, but their bench isn't going to win anything, which makes sense. Their bench shouldn't get hot. That would suck. 4, dang it. Bridgman is going to win this. And Bridgman's going to score 4 plus 3, 7 points. Bridgman gets a check. Did Bridgman have a check? He did not. And we're going to see our bench. Man, the bench is what's killing us. We're going to score 4 points from our bench. We need to make up ground, so we need Dr. J to keep playing good. Dang it, Moncrief. Moncrief's second tick of the day. Sidney, Moncrief, so good. Oh, no, it ain't Sidney. It's Moses. Whoops. Malone, I read that wrong. 2 for them is Dunleavy. And Dunleavy's close to heat, but he ain't going to get it here. 2, he's going to score 6, but Moses Malone is going to score 6, 10 points, and Malone now with his second tick. Holy cow, folks. Moses Malone's about to get hot, and that's going to help us win a ball game. No, their bench. They're falling apart here, folks. 4 points for their bench, and for us it's Andrew Tony, who's had a brilliant day. Tony's going to get his first tick of the day. He is. So Tony's going to score 7 points, and Tony earns his first tick. Final segment of the third quarter. Oh, it's going to be their man, Bridgman. So Bridgman had a great third. He's going to score 4 and 4. He's going to score 8 and get a second tick. And 2 for us is Bobby Jones. And Bobby Jones is going to score 4 points. And that's going to wrap up the third. 12. Let's see here. 12, 16, 24 points for them in the third. We're going to get 13, 23, 30, 34 points for us in the third. That is huge. Folks, I think that's going to put us there at 78. And we are at 2. Oh no, we're at 3. Let's see here. 9. We're at 83. We've got the lead, folks. 78 to 83. So we flipped the switch on them in at home after the halftime pep talk. Andrew Tony and Moses Malone hold it down against Bridgman, really. Bridgman scored 15 points in that period, and we scored between Tony and Malone 17 points, and that's kind of the difference there as our benches played a role. They had their bench on the court. They had their bench playing too much in the third, it looks like. But maybe that's because they were keeping guys fresh for the fourth. So Milwaukee may have been doing that. So we can make a narrative out of that they were preparing for the fourth quarter. Let's find out who wins this game. Wow, it's going to be their guy, too. Dunleavy. It's not going to win him the... It's a Dunleavy who's right on the verge of heat. Isn't going to get it. So Dunleavy, let's see here. Dunleavy is going to score 3 points. But for us, it's going to be finally Maurice Cheeks taking control of the action late. He's going to score 4 points, but Maurice is going to get a check. Maurice's first check of the day. Man, what a brilliant game Flashpoint is. Oh, it's a tie. Benches, by the way. So benches are going to get 1 point each. There is no heat check here. That's interesting. That means, again, guys are tired. Our bench is in there. Oh, look at this. The 2 stars. But we're going to lose this. Moncrief's a superstar. So the highlight goes to Moncrief, and that's going to put Moncrief at heat level 1. That is so cool. So let's go over this. Moncrief had 2. So Moncrief and Moses Malone going at it. But because Moncrief is the superstar, he's going to win this. And that's going to give him the heat level. So he's now at heat 1, which is added immediately to this. So it's 6 plus 1, 7. And that gives Sidney Moncrief now heat level 1. Moses Malone is going to score 6. And he stays at heat level 2. Malone is so close to getting hot. Fourth segment. 3 and 3. Everybody is checking each other up. This is Lanier. Holy cow. Lanier is a role player. And Cheeks is a role player. So they're an actual tie. So Lanier, Bob Lanier, or Bill Lanier. I can't remember which one. Is it Bill? Bill Lanier. And then, of course, Maurice Cheeks, who's had a really good final quarter. Let's hope it's enough for him to win. And again, no heat level generated. This is the final segment, folks. The game is on the line. It's 78-83. Let's see here. 87, 88, 94. It's 97 to 81, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92. Oh, my God. It's a 5-point difference for the Philadelphia 76ers, who would change the course of history and play Boston in the finals if we can win it. Oh, it's going to be the man, Moses Malone, who will make heat level now. So Malone's going to win this, and that gives Malone heat 1. So he's at heat level 1, and Malone's going to score 6, 7, 8, plus 1, 9 points. Malone's going to put this game on ice, and 4 for them is Bridgman, who's at heat level. Now, that's a tie. Right? That's a tie. So they're both at heat level 1. So heat decides who wins, correct? Well, here's the deal. Bridgman is a role player. Malone is a star. So we're going to win that matchup. So it will be Malone, and he's going to score 4, 5, 6. Despite his heat level, the heat level would make us tied. But Malone is the star, so we're going to win that. Folks, let's tally the final. Final. All right, they got 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 89, 90, 91, 92, 98 points. Wow. Their average was 106 in history, or for that season. We are going to score 83, 87, 88, 94, 97, 106. And we're going to score 106. And in real life, Philadelphia scored 108. Outstanding. So, folks, Philly will end up winning the series. I don't know what the real life series was, but so Philly, again, I'm not playing the whole series. I'm going to advances to face Boston. Awesome. That was outstanding. Let's tally up some scores. I think I did that almost perfectly. There might have been a few niggling things there because the defensive part, what's messing me up is how defense, if the high die is attacker, how does defense win? When they have heat. So this was an example. Let's say it was 6. Let's say it was 4, or no. Let's say it was 5, and my 4. he would technically normally win, except I have heat level, so I would automatically, as a defender, win, and I would subtract a point from his score. That's I think how that works. So let's see some totals here. Let's get Moses Malone. Clearly is our star. Superstar was Dr. J. Dr. J was very close to heat level. He had 2 ticks. But their man, Johnson, was strong. What really changed this game was Johnson did not show up in the second half, but Sidney Moncrief sure did. So let's do this. What did Milwaukee do? Milwaukee. Let's start with Johnson. We know Johnson was close to being their leader. Johnson ended up with 7, 13, 20 points. And I think that's what he averaged in real life, which is bizarre as hell to me. 76ers. It'll be Malone for us. Okay, Malone scored 11, 21, 27, 36 points for Malone. That is freaking beautiful. Now, Malone averaged 22, I think, in real life. And again, we don't want them to get their averages. We want them to, create over the course of a season their averages. Malone, brilliant. All right, second up here, let's go Bridgman, who hit heat level 1. So Bridgman, who finished the game at heat level 1, scored 5, 9, 16, 24, 30 points for Bridgman at heat level 1. That makes sense. He got hot. Beautiful. Malone, by the way, was at heat level 1 and got 36. So the 2 guys that were hot scored 36 and 30. That's freaking amazing. Okay, for us, next up, let's do Tony. I think Tony might be our second best scorer. I'm not certain, but glancing. But Tony scored 5, 9, 14, 21. Yep, Andrew Tony got 21 points, baby. So we only had one player make it to heat level 1, and they had Moncrief and Johnson. So we haven't even looked at Moncrief yet, their superstar. Moncrief, let's see here, Moncrief scored 11. Whew. 18, but he was at heat level. Say what? That can't be right. Moncrief scored 11. I don't know how did he do that if he only scored twice. Moncrief 11. I don't see Moncrief anywhere else. Okay, so Moncrief was not at, which didn't matter. Oh, yeah, it did matter because of that he beat Malone here. I'm not certain how Moncrief got. So I checked Moncrief twice when he didn't, but that's okay. Moncrief got 18 points, and then our third guy's Dr. J. I bet Dr. J got 6, 15. Whoo! We won, and Dr. J only scored 15 points, but that's because Malone had 36, Bridgman for them. Let's do Dunleavy for the enemy. Dunleavy was very close, man, to getting heat. 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 15. Dunleavy got 15 points. Very nice. For us, it would be Bobby Jones, Andrew Toney, Malone's Cheeks. Let's go Cheeks because he had a good fourth quarter. Cheeks scored 5, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maurice Cheeks got 12. Okay, and then they've got their bench. Oh, Lanier. Okay, Lanier scored 3. I thought he scored twice. Wow, Lanier got 3 points. Holy cow. So Moses Malone definitely got the better of Lanier, which I would say should have. But Lanier was never a big scorer. He was a intimidator, really. And then who do we have left? We have Jones. Bobby Jones. Jones got 3. He started it out for us. We were up 1-2 in the first segment thanks to Bobby Jones. 3. 7. 7 points for Bobby. And then the bench. And both benches played a lot more than you would like. 2, which is good because there's a lot of guys coming off the bench. Remember, bench would be all those cats that come off the bench. So 2, 8, 13, 17, 18. So their bench got 18. That is so right on. And our bench got 2, 3, 4, 10, 14, 15. We got 15 from our bench. Now let's add this up. This should add up to the right numbers. If not, something wrong here. 50, 68, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 86, 96, and 96, and 8. So I did the math wrong somewhere. 50, 60, 70, 80, 96, and 8. Yep, 96 and 8 is 104. Whoops. Wow, so it was closer than I thought. 104. Woo. I had it 98, so man, 104. That's why you have to check your work. 36. So we got, let's see here, we got 36, 57, 57, 67, 77, 87. Uh-oh, something is wrong. 87. Let's just do this. 50, 60, 70, 80, 87, 92, 94, 101, 106. So I got my numbers right. We actually won that by 2 points. Dang! 104 to 106. Philadelphia will advance to face the Boston Celtics. And I'm not looking forward to this series. Boston has a superstar, Larry Bird, star Johnson, star in Parrish, Mikal, role player, Maxwell, role player, and their bench role players. They went 62 and 20, scored 112 points a game. That's Boston. So it's going to be fascinating. They have a superstar and 2 stars. We have a superstar and a star. And then on the flip side over here, we have Phoenix, who somehow managed to get all the way to the Eastern Finals at a 41 and 41 record. They scored 111 points a game. With Walt Davis as a star, Larry Nance is a star, Maurice Lucas is a role player, Macy's a role player, Edwards is a role player, and their bench. So Phoenix, 111 points a game. I would argue maybe Lucas could be also a star here. But again, star only breaks ties and gets to heat faster. Okay, and over here, the Lakers, superstar Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy is a star, Magic Johnson's a star, Cooper is a role player, McAdoo's a role player, and their bench. Pat Riley was the coach here. They went 54 and 28 in real life. They scored 116 points a game with that damn fast break offense. These guys played a fast game. So did Boston. They were both pretty fast teams as far as up and down the court. Again, you could, I mean, if you were to argue subjectively, Magic Johnson's a superstar, right? But again, I did it by scoring. So I looked at their actual season. Actually, I rated these guys based on their actual World Championship results. So these guys were laid out based on what they did in the actual championship. But if I did it by season, this might be shuffled. It might be Johnson above Worthy if I did the season. Now with these teams, because they didn't make it to the championship, I did their season players. So Malone led the Philadelphia 76ers in points. Dr. J was second. Tony, see? Here it was Davis, Nance, Lucas. So this is based on their points per game. Moncrief, Johnson, Bridgman, etc. So you get an idea how I rated them. I literally went in the order of their points per game. So if this was the best player, I gave him the 6. Second, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, I gave him star or superstar based on their star or superstar. So Over here, the problem is Abdul-Jabbar. You can't only have one superstar on a team. So am I going to give it to Jabbar, who led the team in scoring, or am I going to give it to Magic Johnson? Well, it's going to be Jabbar, right? Because he's the center and he led the team in scoring. So Magic Johnson, despite being a superstar subjectively, would not be a star by the rules. Over here, Malone led us in scoring, but there's no doubt our superstar, in my opinion, was Dr. J, right? Although part of why we were so good was the round, what was it? The round mound of rebound, Moses Malone. I think that's how you say that. There you have it, though, folks. 106 to 104. Milwaukee was a defensive team, so that's kind of fascinating. Although defense never showed up based on heat, and I think I did that one right. But you can see how quickly it plays, how fun it is, and instantly you're seeing the players accumulate their numbers. You don't have to then assign stats. You don't have to, determine. You're literally watching these teams get you're watching these players get highlights and score points. If there's a defensive player with a higher heat level than a winning player, you would see him make a defensive highlight, which makes sense because defensive highlights are more rare in basketball than scoring highlights. A blocked shot or a big steal, those are more rare than a dunk or nailing a three-pointer. So it makes sense that defensive highlights will come later when the game's on the line, right? And when that heat level goes up, that's where the defensive highlights. So I would argue, technically, the heat level in this game should solely dictate defensive highlights. I wouldn't even mess with heat level meaning anything but defense. So if a player has a heat level, they're automatically going to pull that opponent down by a point. I mean, that's to streamline the game. That's probably what I would do. But it's hard to say. It's hard to make any changes to a game. My first game ever, although I was all over the place trying to get the rules figured out, was incredibly fun. This game, I think, I played it more deliberate. I paid close attention. And this was almost perfect. 106-104. Of course, in real life, Milwaukee beat the 76ers in the series. But the point is, it looks really good. Again, and the two players that were hot led their team in scoring. Bridgman scored 30. He ended up with heat level 1. Malone, 36, ended up with heat level 1. Johnson was very close to getting heat level. He slowed down in the second half. Dunleavy was one tick away from being hot. And Moncrief, I had here checked 3 times. I don't know why. But Moncrief was not hot in 18. Dr. J, only 15 points. But Andrew Toney, the role player, gets his 21. Maurice Cheeks, point guard for the... It's just so good. To be honest, it's almost unbelievable how good this basketball game is. I shouldn't say it's unbelievable. What I mean is it seems too simple to be this good. Kind of like my Gladiators and Tally Ho. It's like that system is so simple, so elegant. How can it be so fun? How can it be so... And this is... let's put it this way. This is instantly, in only 2 games, this is my favorite basketball game. There is no reason I would play another basketball game right now, right? I mean, look how and people don't know this. It took me less than 5 minutes to make all these teams. I just went to Pro Basketball Reference, went directly to the rosters, and I looked up who led the team in scoring, and I put them in order: 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, 1 is always going to be bench instead of a player, so I just go with the top 4 scorers or 5 scorers. Descending, I don't give a shit about their position. I put them in scoring, 6, 5, 4, 3, and then I assign whether they're stars or superstars or role players. Then I just jot down their position so I know narratively that Moncrief, their shooting guard, what he was getting done on the court, right? But you don't even need positions, right? Now Dell, when you create teams and you play the game, he sets it by position. So 6 is the point guard. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I have a problem with this because that means almost every game you play, your point guard or your shooting guard are going to lead you in scoring. Well, that's fine for fictional teams in your league, but when it comes to wanting to see great scoring centers dominate, for a team, then I don't want to see the center down here all the time. So I would argue this should be based on, scoring. This should literally be based. This should be put in order based on scoring. So 1 is always the worst scoring. 6 would always be your best scorer, but he's got it based on position, which is fine if you're making up fictional teams with fictional players. But then know that at the end of the season, on most of your games, your point guards are generally going to lead your team in scoring. They're going to get hot more often. And we all know that point guards, there have been some point guards in history that do completely dominate basketball games, but not necessarily every team, right? So those are little subtle things that's why I said just if you're going to make your own teams, or even if you roll up your teams, you know, whoever you roll up as your superstar, you might want to put at 6. Now the reason Dell doesn't do that is you want to see some guys with 2 be a superstar. They're going to win a few ties and things, although they're not superstar scorers. They're superstars because they rebound. Dennis Rodman, for instance, he could be a superstar power forward, but be down here at 2 because Rodman didn't score a ton of points, but he would win a ton of rebounding battles, right? So the reason you don't necessarily want to make 6 always your superstar, well, there are guys on teams that were superstar players that don't necessarily have high scoring. So you can see how you can really kind of fine-tune your franchise or roll. If you're playing fantasy, it's rolled up randomly. It's just randomly created, and that's cool because then you're just going to create and go. But if you're going to create historical teams, you just want to use some subjectivity as to who's a superstar and where they're at in their scoring. So I would base this on scores if you want it. As far as accuracy, historically, you want to base it on who's led the team in scoring. If you're going to just make historical teams based on who you think were the stars, the superstars, and the role players, then you could do that and just assign them the number, based on position. But then point guards will always be up here at 6. And again, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying Dell did that purposely. But if you're trying to squeeze historical teams in here, you're going to want to look and say, okay, obviously Michael Jordan and most Chicago teams is going to be the 6. And he's going to be the superstar too. But if it's, I'm trying to think of another example. If it's, God, I can't think of another example of a team that would have a high score, but he wasn't a superstar, right? Or whatever. So anyway, but there are a lot of teams that had superstar high scores that were not point guards. So that's all I'm saying is 6 is your point guard in the default rules. They're going to lead your team in scoring more often than not. Over here, we had Johnson lead our team in score. We had Bridgman, ironically, down here at 4, led the team in scoring, which is cool. And we had a center lead the team in scoring, but that's because he's 6 and Bridgman's a 4, right? But our 6 led the league. Their 6, Moncrief, had 18, right? So that's cool because we want to see that 6 isn't always dominant. But in the game I played the other day, I was the point guard. I scored 40 points. Here Malone scored 36. Here Moncrief scored 38. And their 6-man, I can't remember what their 6-man scored. 24, I think. So you're going to see the guy with 6, he's just going to average. He's going to get higher averages over the course of a season. That's all, right? Not because you roll 6s more, right? People are going to say, wait, it doesn't matter. This is 16.7%. Any number comes up. That's right. It's not because it's a higher percentage that you're going to roll a 6. It's that you're going to score minimum of 6. So even if the other team rolls a 6, I'm going to get 6 points, and heat level might give me 7. Or if they have the heat level, I would get 5. But anytime the 6 comes up, that player is scoring 5 to potentially 12 points with heat level. So a 6 can score 11, or with heat level 12, or he could score 11 and the other guy has heat level 10. So he's going to be scoring between 5 and potentially 12 points every time that comes up. So this is why 6 is going to lead your teams in scoring. So remember, if you're making historical teams, you want the top scorer to have 6, right? But again, the game was not designed to be a historical game. But I wanted out of curiosity, could this work? And it worked beautifully. It worked almost perfectly. Because I can't deny, when I play these games, I want to play fictional, fun, fantasy stuff, but I also really love digging out my favorite teams in history and seeing them go at it, right? I mean, I'm not a replayer, so to speak, but I definitely love sports history. And so I want to see the best players face up. This was brilliant, man. Bridgman gets hot, gets 30 points. Malone does... You can imagine these were all led by rebounds. So you can imagine Moses Malone probably got a double-double here. He probably had like, 12 to 18 rebounds, which helped lead to his getting 36 points, right? It's just, and Moncrief was held in check by Malone and Dr. J. So you can imagine Dr. J was playing a more defensive game today, trying to keep him in check, right? So it's just, you can imagine, you can understand the narrative of the game solely based on who did what and what they scored and heat levels. Malone got hot, right? Bridgman got hot, right? So that's pretty cool. All right, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.